Hello, I'm Karen Harrison, and welcome to October Reiki Call, where we are going to be discussing Kid Reiki with Chellie Kammermeyer. My website is karenharrison.net, and Shelley's is innercompassreiki.com. So Chellie is one of our licensed teachers, and she is teaching in Oregon and the San Francisco Bay Area, teaches all levels of Reiki, and you teach some other things too, right, Chellie?
Yeah.
Hot air balloon, something or other. Oh no, that was your that was your previous life.
Yeah, that was a previous life.
So what else do you teach?
So I teach crystal Reiki. I teach Reiki drumming. I teach chakra classes and Reiki journeying.
Wow. Okay. All right. And Chellie teaches, I think you teach all of that with her husband, Mike. And
Yep.
yeah, so
He and
that's
I are pair.
you are quite the pair. A wonderful,
we are something. Yeah.
No, they are a wonderful couple. So I'm excited to have Chellie on here. I love teaching kids, and I've taught some Kid Reiki classes in the past, but Chellie and her team of Cami Cote and April Walker all got together and created just an entirely new Kid Reiki class. So what inspired you to want to teach kids Reiki?
So I would say, because I've been thinking about this, is first of all, I have grandchildren, and when I was growing up, there was some trauma around, my teenage years, and I've thought many times, wouldn't it be awesome if I hadn't had 20 years or more to deal with all of that, and then I could, if something happened, and hopefully it wouldn't happen like that kind of trauma, but to my grandchildren, wouldn't it be great if they could just handle it, and it could help them with their life without having to unpeel all those layers? So that was kind of the start of it. And then when I taught some classes, it's just so much fun. Like, the kids are so engaged and excited and open that you just kind of are like, why wouldn't you just teach kids all the time? Like, it's just so fun. So that was kind of where it started. And then so I'm a mentor teacher with the ICRT, and April is one of my she's finished with the program, but I was her mentor. And when we were working together, it's like you spend at least 2 or 3 calls a month with your mentor teacher and go over things. And we were chatting, and she said, I think it'd be cool to teach Kid Reiki, or Reiki to kids. And so then we were off on a tangent about that. And about the same time, Cami reached out to me and said, I hear you and April were talking about kids Reiki. I think that'd be cool. And so we had a Zoom call, and that was over 2 years ago. And we've been meeting every Tuesday morning since. So.
Well, that's exciting.
That's where we got it.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, out of the people on the call, how many of you have taught a Kid Reiki class? Okay. All right. Great. A few of you. And so I guess you realize it's different than an adult class. Cannot sit kids down and just give them all the same information that adults get. They will run out the door.
Right.
Go do something else. So Okay, so why did you choose the name Kid Reiki?
So, well, this is so first of all, we chose kid instead of child or children because our plan is to teach kids that are from age 6 to age 15. And so teenagers don't like to be called children, like the preteen and teenagers. So we decided that having a certificate that said children's Reiki would probably not be something that they would love. So that sort of started us down that path. And then we also we were trying to figure out, like, I mean, because there's all of the kid Reiki is appropriate. Kids Reiki is appropriate. KID apostrophe S, KIDS apostrophe. It became, apostrophes are confusing for most people. So we just decided to, and we reached out to Jenny Stinson, who's an English. She was a former English teacher and one of the editors for the helping with the Reiki News. And she's also a licensed teacher. And she said, we don't call it animals Reiki. We don't call it Karuna's Reiki. It's just the name of the energy. So we landed on Kid Reiki, and that's where we are.
Okay, so what I understand is that you are offering not only a class on how to teach on, kids, like kid manuals, but you're offering a class on how adults can teach kids Reiki.
Right. So,
so tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So it started off with that we were creating a class for kids, and we call it Choose Your Own Adventure, because we came up with, in the first couple of meetings, we came up with, I don't know, like 25 or 30 different activities that you can use. And so we realized that different activities, different ages, different geographical, weather, can make a difference in the way a class is going to go. So we wanted people to not just think they have to do this, this, and this. They can choose out of, this whole group of activities that are all beneficial for the kids to learn. I mean, it helps them learn in some way or another. So then while we were doing that, though, we started working with the energy, and the energy started like helping us deal with some of our old traumas, our own person, like all of us, everybody has layers of life. So, but it helped us kind of working through some of those things. And we realized that this was not just a class for children. It is a class for adults and healing themselves as children, or the Reiki is helping them heal past traumas, past their inner child. One of the Cami talks often about how when she was a child, she was bullied, and then when she went to teach her first kid Reiki class, all those old bullying nerves kind of showed up. So she ended up doing Reiki on herself. And of course, the class was amazing. But, we all have those things where things come up for us. And so being able to release some of that stuff is, life-changing.
Wow. So adults taking the class can work on healing their inner child, along with learning how to teach Reiki to kids.
Yeah.
Is there a specific exercise that deals with the inner child?
Well, we have, so this is like any master, well, not any, but it is it is formatted after the Holy Fire Master classes. So we have 4 ignitions, we have 4, at least we have actually we have 5 or 6 experiences. And so as we'll choose the 4 that seem the most appropriate for classes. And so there is a healing your inner child experience. And we've done it 2 years in a row at the ICRT Reiki retreat. And it has been very, people have had a lot of experiences releasing.
Mm-hmm. Great. Right. So the class that you're offering is a Reiki master class. So people have to be a Reiki master to take it.
Right.
And
of any lineage.
Of any lineage. Okay. So they don't have to have Holy Fire Reiki. They can have any master lineage of Reiki.
Right.
Okay. And you teach it over 3 days. And what sort of things will the adults learn?
So we have a lot of information about child development. We have a lot of information, about, working with kids and how, kids are not miniature adults. It's not the same. And so, and you have to be flexible, and you have to be, and we are hoping that once people take this class, they'll understand that they can be, a class is meant to be fun. Kids learn through play. So we're going to be playing in the adult classes. There's going to be a lot of activities for the adults too.
Okay. Can you give me some examples? Like the first thing I thought of was, Play-Doh. We're going to be doing Play-Doh.
We are. We do have Play-Doh. We do, and I don't know how April came up with the recipe for how to make that even. I don't know how to deal with that. But we've also, like there's one of our activities is Reiki freeze tag for the kids. And that came about because in one of my classes, we went through every activity that I had figured out, and I thought I had enough for 7 hours of class, and it was only supposed to be a 4-hour class. And all of a sudden it's 3 hours into it and we're done. And these kids are loving it. And so I said, okay, well, now what we're going to do is we're going to play Reiki freeze tag. And they're like, great. How do we do that? And I'm like, you tell me after it's done. Right there, let's go play outside. And so they ran out there and they gathered up and they made up rules, and then they, played it for a while and burned off some energy, and then came back and we did some more stuff. That gave me a minute to kind of figure out what I was doing next.
So I just think that's so funny, because the same thing happened to me when I taught a Reiki kid class, and did the same thing. I told my daughter was helping me. I said, well, go outside and figure out something to do with the kids to burn off some energy, because their parents are not picking them up for a good hour or more.
Yeah. And that's actually one of the things that's really, that we really stress, is that having, that we're not babysitters. There needs to be an adult with the child, because it's just another set of eyes and another way of keeping track of the kids. So the adult that is with them will also get a placement and get the energy so that they can share Reiki together as a family. If they don't already know Reiki, they won't get a certificate, but they'll have the energy, the kid Reiki energy.
Okay, so just to clarify, adults do not need to have already had Reiki to take the class. They just need to accompany their kid The kid
Right.
gets the certificate, the adult does not get the certificate.
That's correct.
Okay.
So, because kids want to practice this at home. And so when, if they're going to practice, then, there needs to be some sort of reciprocal thing happening. So,
Okay.
so, and then, we have some breathing exercises, and we have some, like there's, like you can, start doing Reiki and breathe in and breathe out and breathe in. I'm doing this much faster than you would do in a class, but you have like an opportunity to kind of slow things down, and everybody sort of settles down with, some breath work.
Okay, that sounds good. So you've got breath work, and I assume you have them do some hands-on practice.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And, there's practice time, there's, and there's a new symbol for the teachers, and,
Tell us about that.
okay, well, I can tell you the name of it is the Divine Heart. And it is, yeah, it's just, it seems to, we're still working with this, like the description of it, but it seems to work to me with the brothers and sisters of the light. It's like, this is a more like, I don't want to, maybe angelic connection is, maybe the best way to describe it. I'm still working on how to explain it. But it's the, with kids, their energy is so pure that, it's more like angelic. And so that's where I really feel like that's the way it works.
Okay, so they get a symbol in Reiki 1, and
so the kids get symbols in Reiki 2.
Okay, so they get the Divine Heart in Reiki 2.
Yeah, they get the Divine Heart in Reiki 2. And the other thing that I it's good to make sure that is, once a child takes level 1 and level 2 of Kid Reiki, does not make them eligible to take a master class as soon as they turn 16. It's not the full thorough level 1 and 2 class that you would normally take, but it gives them the energy so that they can work on their family and their friends, and their pets and their food, and whatever, their studies and whatever. So, but does not replace a 1 and 2 class, like an adult class.
And what age range? I know you said up to teenagers, so up to 16, but how young can
6.
someone? 6. Okay, 6 to 16. Yeah, I know when I taught a 4 and 5-year-old, we really didn't have a class. We had about a 30-minute session of giving them a quick placement, and then showing them some hand positions and having them practice, and that was it.
And also, something that we realize is, this is also up to the teacher's discretion. Like if they're in a family where all the other brothers and sisters are already, learning Reiki, and the parents know Reiki, and they're 5 years old, then you teach them Reiki. You can include them in the class. If it's somebody who's never heard of it, and they just heard, they just were like, well, my child needs this for, self-regulation. Well, then probably they need to be 6.
Okay, so yeah, that brings up a good point. I know when I taught the kid classes, I ended up with people with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and students with autism. So are there any stipulations for that?
No, I mean, if the parent thinks that they're going to be okay for a class, then they're going to be fine, because
Mhm.
the parent's going to be there with them.
Mhm.
Or, sometimes it's the grandparents that are raising the kids. I mean, I know several people who are grandparents who are raising their grandchildren, but somebody is in charge of them that brings them.
I think that's such a great idea to have the parents there, because when I did teach the kid classes, if the parent wasn't there, I usually regretted it.
Well,
Like,
and you don't, it's not like there's just so many moving parts, like, and there's kids that have food allergies, and there's all kinds of things, so somebody needs to be monitoring that.
mhm. Yeah.
So
So how many hours is the kid class?
4.
Like 4 hours. Okay, 4 hours for kids.
Yeah,
But for the adults learning how to do it and going through all these experiences, it'll be 3 days.
it'll be very full days.
Are adults just slower learners?
Well, I would not say that. I would say that there is just more to teach them.
Mm, yes, I know. Of course, I was joking, but I mean, the adults want to know all the nitty gritty, all the details and things, and the kids just want to experience.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And play. Do you have them as in one of the activities? Do you have them do anything with crystals? Like give
Yeah,
Reiki
we have,
one crystal.
so I am like, they say the first step is to admit that you have a problem, and I have a problem with crystals. Like, I mean, I love crystals. They're like everywhere. So of course we have crystals but we put them in the level 2 class, the Reiki 2 class, to just expand that a little bit.
Okay. So like you give Reiki to a crystal and make it shiny and sparkly.
Well, you give a Reiki to a crystal, and then it continues to send Reiki out into the world even when you're not there.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a grid.
Mm-hmm.
Which, we also have grids in the master class. So
Okay. In the kid class for teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I've been asking a lot of questions. Does anybody on the call have any questions so far?
I have a question.
Okay.
So, first of all, I think we're friends on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
I think I found you on Facebook after recognizing you from the Reiki magazine article photo. So I'm very curious about the Sacred Heart symbol. Exactly I'm saying you didn't say Sacred Heart. How did you put it?
Divine Heart.
Divine Heart. So I'm very curious about the process of how you came up with that, because I think of the symbol as being given to us from divinity, not something we ourselves like make up. So I was curious about your process with that.
So the process was, the 3 of us were on a Zoom call, and I think it might have been Cammie said, I'm trying to remember the exact process here. I think it was Cammie said, I feel like this energy is telling us that we have a different symbol, and we all started kind of playing around, and she put something on the computer, and I was like, that's it, that is it, that's what it's been trying to show me, but I don't have the technical ability to draw. So I mean, it's not really hard, but I just didn't, it wasn't showing up for me in that same way. So
Okay.
does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't really imagination. It was more like, I mean, I guess the question is really, where does your imagination come from? Like, that's divine downloads too. So, it all came together for us.
Well, what I'm hearing you say is that the three of you were listening to Reiki as you were creating this program and listening to what does the universe want to tell you about this, what to put in it, how to create it. And the energy sounds like came through as its own distinct energy just for children. And you said that's also part of what helps to heal the layers of accumulated stuff that adults have that we got as kids.
Right. That nicely put. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, well, that was a good question. Anybody else have a question?
I do.
Can you answer
Chellie?
your question?
Yeah. Chellie,
Yeah.
do you have manuals put together?
We have manuals that will be ready by then. We're in the editing process now.
I'm excited.
Thank you.
So the Kid Reiki classes, I'm assuming that those will be in-person classes, not online classes.
They will be online.
But
They
the
will-
class for adults is going to be online on how to teach the kids.
Right.
But you're going to be teaching adults how to teach Kid Reiki in person.
For the most part. But if an adult, so if you're going to teach, if you want to teach a child Reiki and like it's your granddaughter across the country, this allows you to do that. But you need to, then there's a whole different list of things that you need to kind of keep in mind, because kids are learning online all the time, but it's not necessarily what is recommended for people to experience. For children to experience is the hands-on and play is much better, but it can be done. It's just more difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Personally, I would recommend only in person, but but that said, I live pretty close to my grandchildren. So if I didn't live close to them and I wanted them to, if they wanted to take a class, I would still do it for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And can you tell us what the dates are of this class that you're teaching and how much it is?
So it's the same as a master class. It's $12.95, and it's December 1st through the 3rd. Or we are also doing a weekday class the 6th through the 8th. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Okay. Well, that's exciting. And they can get information about that. Is that on kidreiki.love?
It's on kidreiki.love, and then there's some information on my website, which is innercompassreiki.com.
Okay.
And it's also on April and Cammy's too.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Can you say that one more time?
Sure. It's on kidreiki.love.
Okay.
That's probably the best place, because it's on that website, there's a little thing at the top where it says home, classes, about us, something else. So you want to click on the classes to get the information about the classes.
Okay.
Because we, one day went down a rabbit hole and got t-shirts designed for all of us to teach, because, why not? And we decided if anybody else wanted them, they could get them. So you can order them through our website too.
Okay.
So that's on there too. So just make sure that you go to the classes is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
All right. And then after teaching this, then you'll have the manuals available for purchase also for the kid classes.
Yeah. Well, you get the kid class manual with the class.
Mm-hmm.
And you also get, we've also just this last week, a teen class information sort of showed up too. So we've got, you know, if you want to teach to the pre-teenagers. So, you know, one of the things that we didn't talk about is GDPR, which is one of the reasons why we came up with the kid teaching teachers. GDPR is the short name or for a law that's in Europe, and it requires there's a special way that any child under 16 years old has their information kept on the internet. And so because of that, like, you know, if you guys use or members of the Reiki Membership Association, you go in and you put the names and then you can create a certificate. Well, that saves the information somewhere on the website. It may not be totally available, but it's there. And so this GDPR, that is not legal then to save the information on the website. So what we're doing is we're recommending that as people teach to kids, they have the parents register and send an email with the name, so that people don't have because in the US there isn't a law right now that is, but there's bound to be one soon. And so it just makes sense to just, and you know, you don't want kids' names on the internet anyway. So it's just a way to manage that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so right. So the ICRT had decided that we wouldn't be able to offer a kid Reiki class through the ICRT, but you found a cool way around it is to teach the teachers how to teach kids, which is really good. Since kid Reiki is better taught in person, we need more people that are able to teach Reiki to kids.
Right.
Awesome. Any other questions that are bubbling up? Okay, well, Chellie, what about, can you maybe share a couple of experiences that you've had in teaching Reiki to kids, what that was like, besides the one where you ran out of material? Because guess what? I have asked you all my questions and I thought I had plenty, but I've asked every single question that I had, so.
All right. Well, one of the things that I love about teaching kids is, you know, in the agenda for any of the ICRT classes, it's, you know, tell us something about yourself, why your background, and something you love about yourself or you like about yourself. And when I say that in classes, especially the first class, level 1 and 2, people get this look in their eyes like, I can't think of anything. There is nothing for me that, I mean, I'm taking this class and I know nothing that I love about myself. Like they freeze. Well, kids don't have that problem. So one time it was, you know, the first time I asked some kids that in class, they were like, the first one was like, well, I love pink and I love my sparkly shoes and I love fairies and I love dragons and I love sparkling lights. And, you know, they kept going and going and going. And the next one, she had the same thing. So it's fun to watch kids because they don't have any problem with telling you what they love about themselves. And so that's one of my favorite things about teaching kids. Also, I feel like so Mike had, before we had taught one class, Mike was getting out of the car, and it was a new car to us, and he managed to get his feet tangled up, and he fell, and he had some stuff in his hand. So he landed kind of on his face, and he got this big rash, road rash kind of thing on his head. And then, of course, he had to go to the class the next day, and the kids are all looking at him like, what is happening? But then when they needed to practice, they're all like, could we practice on Mike? And I said, sure. So Mike got on the table, and they all took turns walking around and doing Reiki on his head, that little rash, road rash thing. I'm not kidding you. The very next day, it was gone. It was like,
Oh,
it was never there at all. And I mean, I wish I'd taken pictures of that, because it never even occurred to me that it would be, I mean, he said, those kids' hands were so hot when they, and they would just be like a minute. It wasn't like a long process, but they all took
wow.
turns. There were like 7 or 8 of them, which is a big class for that age. And they all wanted to work on, I mean, it was amazing.
Well, that's very cool. That's one of the things that I've seen. I remember I had a 12-year-old in my class one time for adults, and she was a little young, but her mom wanted her to learn Reiki because she was going to be on a TV show as a psychic kid, and thought that she needed some more skills and training with her gift. So I actually enlisted one of my friends to help do some activities with her here and there, instead of sitting in the adult class the whole time. But then after class, her mother told me that she was at work with her one time, and one of her coworkers was sick. So the 12-year-old went over and gave Reiki for 1 minute to this coworker. And a few minutes later, the coworker said, "Oh, I am so tired. I got to go home." So the coworker went home and slept for 14 hours, and then the next day was perfectly fine.
Wow. That's
So
crazy.
right? Yeah, kids' energy is just, it's strong and it's clear.
Yeah.
So they don't need to give Reiki as long as adults do.
No. And one of the other activities that we do is that I took a couple of baskets of fruit, and I put them into 2 bowls, and I did Reiki on one of the bowls, and I labeled the bowls number 1 and number 2. And then I gave the kids some pieces of paper, and a pen, and they tasted the fruit out of the one bowl and tasted the fruit out of the other bowl. And at the end, after they tasted a few pieces of fruit each, I was like, so can you tell which one had Reiki? Every one of those kids knew which one I had done Reiki on, because they could tell it tasted different, it tasted fresher, tasted sweeter, something. They all knew. And none of them, it wasn't like, oh, I think it's this one, and then the next one said, oh yeah, me too. But they all secretly, quietly wrote down the number, and then we just looked at the vote. It was all.
That's very cool.
That was really cool.
Well, I know one of the things you said that you would do is one of the meditations from the class. So I'm wondering if you could go ahead and lead us in that.
Yeah, of course. So this is a hot air balloon experience. And in this experience, you can release the burdens and worries that you are still carrying with you from childhood to current time. This experience can heal a variety of challenges from childhood to adulthood, and it will bring you a deep sense of peace. So if you guys want to just take a minute and think about what you might want to release. And then close your eyes and take a deep breath. It's a warm day, nice and sunny, and you're walking through a beautiful forest. As you walk and breathe, you feel the energies of the earth flowing up through the bottoms of your feet. As you walk along, you experience the aliveness of the forest, the trees, the plants, the rocks. You experience the life force energy of the forest, and it helps you feel even more alive and vital. As you continue to walk on the path, you realize that you are coming to the edge of the forest, and with the next steps, you step out onto a large open field. In the middle of the field is a beautiful hot air balloon. The hot air balloon is made of all the rainbow of colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. And you run as fast as your legs can carry you to the balloon, taking in all of its glory with excitement. There's a hot air balloon pilot there, and you're invited into the basket. You marvel at all of its details. The basket itself is a work of art, sturdy, strong, intricate. The hot air balloon pilot nods and smiles and asks, "Are you ready to release those burdens and worries that you're carrying with you?" The balloon is now lifting off the ground, and as you rise higher and higher and higher, you feel lighter and a sense of freedom washes over you. Floating in the sky, you look down and see the Earth's landscape, and you marvel at all of its beauty. From up here, you can see the whole world. As far as your eyes can see, you see oceans and rivers and lakes. You can see mountains and trees. You can even see people and buildings. You look at the expansive blue sky all around you and feel at peace floating through the sky. There is light reflecting through the hot air balloon's canopy. There is the most beautiful colors of beams of light all around you and flowing into you. And you realize this is no ordinary light. It is the light from the highest heavens. So look into the light and allow the light to guide you. The light is guiding you now. Follow the light.
Himself.
whenever you're guided to do so and at the pace that is right for you, take a few breaths, bring your awareness to your eyes, and slowly open your eyes and come back.
Well, thank you, Chellie. That was beautiful. I could feel a lot of energy coming in with that. Oh, yeah, Kristen, you want to share something?
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, actually, I remembered my question. I had it earlier and I'd forgotten it. So hi, I am so looking forward to my class with you. I can't wait. So anyway, when, okay, so since this is a master class for teachers and everything, and it is using the holy fire energy, but there are people that can take it that haven't had holy fire before. Does that mean that they get holy fire?
No, it does
Okay.
not.
All right.
What happens is it works with anybody's energy, and it's guided by the holy fire, but it is not the same thing as taking a holy fire class. A holy
Okay.
fire class is a whole, a whole thing.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much for clarifying.
Yeah.
Anybody want to share your experience? Okay, well, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. I had an image of hands holding each of my feet during it. I think it's because I have a lot of foot pain and I get disconnected from my feet, so I think it was keeping me present.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever was going on there.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Okay, Pat.
I just got really hot just for a minute.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's pretty common with the energy coming in.
Isn't?
Uh-huh.
Hey, Karen, it's Elizabeth. It was really interesting because I saw quite a bit of the sacred geometry and colors. And then ever since I've taken animal Reiki and become an animal master as well, I find that my spirit guide animals like to show up during this type of meditation. So my three friends, Tiger, Lion, and Mandrill, made a little appearance to remind me to keep on my path. And then a few other friends who occasionally show up. Elephant, giraffe, ostrich also made an appearance. So I have to go back and figure out. I forget what they stand for, but they also kind of like to show up sometimes. So thank you, Chellie, for such a lovely experience tonight.
Wonderful. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thanks, Chellie. That was a lot of fun. For me, it was a lot of rainbow colors like kaleidoscope, but not the undulating light of regular Reiki. It was more like a kaleidoscope and very playful, bright and playful shapes and colors.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, it was fun.
Mm,
Childlike.
yeah. So, Chellie, during these experiences, do the kids sit quietly or do you have them color or what do they do?
So the kids aren't going to be doing this. This is for the adults.
Oh,
The kids, we're not going to have them sit still for anything because they're not going to. That's not the plan.
okay. Okay, well, that's good.
Even the placement will be it'll be okay for them to be moving during that. So
Mhm. Okay, well, that's another handy reason to do the placements and not the attunements where you're expecting them to sit in gasho and touch, tap, and blow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're coming up to the end of our time. Is there anybody else that has any questions or wants to share anything before we wrap up?
Well, can I say thank you to everybody for showing up?
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
And thank you to Chellie. Again, her website is kidreiki.love, or her regular website is innercompassreiki.com. And I'm Karen Harrison. My website is karenharrison.net. If anybody has any requests for what you would like to see on a future Reiki Call podcast, go to my website and shoot me an email. Love to have your ideas. And we look forward to seeing you at a future Reiki Call.